Well, guys, I think it's safe to say that Daredevil Born Again Episode 3 was just about as crazy as Episode 1. But before we go any further, major spoiler warning for anyone who is not caught up to Episode 3, you've been warned. So we got a huge win for Matt and Hector in the court case. It was very satisfying to see them win. But of course, the happiness was only short-lived. First it was Foggy Nelson, and now it's Hector Ayala. Man, I was looking forward to some scenes later on into the season of Daredevil potentially teaming up with the White Tiger, but that idea kind of goes down the drain. But hey, it's looking like Hector's niece could pick up the mantle of White Tiger, and I think that's what's going to happen because I'd hate if this was where White Tiger's story ends. I mean, we barely got anything. And as for Wilson, if I'm not mistaken, he quite literally admitted to having Hector killed in the BB Urich interview, and this is huge. I don't know if this is going to go public. I'm assuming it is. And look, we, the audience, knew that he would eventually go back to his old ways because he still is Kingpin, but this is going to be a huge shock for the people of New York. Some people, like the police chief, are going to be proven right by saying that Wilson is still in the shady business and he could never be the mayor. But on the other side, I do think some people will support this. With any controversial court case, you have people on both sides. So the people who do think that Hector Ayala was a criminal, which is going to be a huge chunk of New Yorkers, they're going to support Wilson for this. Like, if Hector actually killed those cops maliciously, and then we find out that Wilson Fisk had him killed, well guys, that sounds a lot like what the Punisher does, and he has a ton of fans all over New York City. So I do think a ton of people are going to have Wilson's back on this. And I wonder what Matt's going to do. Is it's going to get him back into the suit? And then, of course, this is where the Punisher has to get involved. Obviously, this guy who killed Hector was not the Punisher, but it's clear that a very large, corrupt faction of the NYPD has sort of twisted the Punisher's message. And we know that Frank Castle is not going to stand for this. So I think Matt is going to find Frank and tell him about these corrupt cops. And Frank might have a field day in episode 4, guys. He is going to go crazy on these cops. But yeah, that's pretty much all of episode 3. Fantastic episode. And now we wait for episode 4.